Britain's King Charles set out Prime Minister Keir Starmer's legislative agenda on Wednesday, promising a government of service focus on reviving the economy and tackling issues from an acute housing shortage to a cost of living crisis. In a ceremony full of pageantry before the audience of robed lords and lawmakers, King Charles read out the law the government is prioritizing after Starmer's centre-left Labour Party won a large majority at this month's election. The package of more than 35 bills will focus on growing the economy, reforming planned laws to make it easier to build homes, speeding up delivery of major infrastructure projects, improving transport, and creating jobs. And to unpack this, I am joined on the news by an international analyst, Otumba Olabode Oseni. Good evening, glad to have you join me.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Let me start by asking, how might Prime Minister Keir Starmer's legislative agenda, focusing on economic revivals and also addressing housing shortages and costs of living concerns, impact daily lives of citizens across the UK?
Thank you. Let's start by telling our viewers the structure of how things work here, the political landscape in the UK. There's a government of a party that has majority, and it has an automatic opposition. And when the people are complaining of a specific area of concern, the opposition take that into consideration. So that the Labour Party now won the election in the last July 4, and they put into consideration all the concerns of the people. They are now going to legislate on all what the people are complaining about. And those are the things that King Charles III, have read out in his inaugural speech. So the Labour will be looking at the many areas of housing, cost of livings, transportations, NHS, and many other things like that. So that is the area that the new government will focus on.
But then what are the implications of the proposed reforms to planning laws and also infrastructure projects in terms of improving community well-being and quality of life?
Yeah, luckily, again, because of the parliamentary system here, majority is crucial, is very important, that the party in power, as it is now, the Labour, they has enough majority to work with. They do not need to please anybody or to compromise some of their major area of legislations, so they can get things done outrightly without problems. So there shouldn't be any problem in tackling most of the area of people's concern, their worries, and it looks like it's going to be a smooth sail for them. There might be a time when certain things has to be debated by the opposition, and some of the members of the ruling political party might have a different opinion. But like I said, because of this substantial majority to pass the legislations, to pass their bills, there shouldn't be any problem that anyone can talk of now.
Okay, let's narrow down on King Charles, his role, King Charles's ceremonial role in presenting these legislative priorities. How does it reflect on the broader societal attitude towards monarchy, governance, and also public service in contemporary Britain?
The structure here, the way governance is carried out here, ordinarily the king, it used to be the queen. Now the queen is gone, is now the king. The king is the head of the government. Actually, it is his government. But the way things are done here, he will call on a party that has a majority in the House of Commons to form a government. This time again, we have Labour that wants a landslide. They had a big majority. So the king had called the leader of the Labour Party to come and form government. And in fact, all what the, well, like I told you before, all what the Labour Party is going to do to resolve issues outstanding, they will give it to the king. The king will now read them out to the joint sittings of the House of Commons and House of Lords. So he will spell out everything the party that won the election want to do to resolve the problem of the people. And that is what he has done.
Now let's talk a bit about job creation and also transportation improvement. Considering emphasis on jobs and also transportation in the UK, how might these initiatives contribute to fostering a more inclusive society, particularly in regions that have historically faced economic challenges?
Yeah, in the UK, there's many areas of concern. There are many areas of worry. There are many areas that are problematic to the people that they think the government is not doing enough. You talk about housing. Housing is a major problem in the UK. People say, well, roof over your head is very, very important. And hence, when there's not enough housing to go around, that is a problem. So that is also one of the main cardinal points or cardinal area that this government want to deal with. They want to build more housing, affordable properties for the ordinary people, especially for those who want to climb the ladder, to want to own their own property. The government is doing everything possible to make sure there are more than enough properties available, which has been a problem with the Conservative Party. There wasn't enough properties, and properties is skyrocketing in terms of people that have mortgages and so on and so forth. So this government wants to turn that around. They want to make a difference. They want to build more and more houses. I think they said about 1 million. I don't know how they're going to achieve that, but then again, it is not impossible. So that. And then there's another area that affects people easily, transportation. Transportation in this country is very expensive. Well, I must say, people like me, we enjoy a freedom pass for life. We have free transportation, and all children below the age of 16 also enjoy free transportation. But then the ordinary people, the people who are working, they spend a lot of money to sustain their transportation movements and so on and so forth. And these are also complaints that have been aired out to government. And Labour Party are now saying, okay, we're going to look into that. First thing first, we want to bring the ownership of the trains and railways and so on to the public. I mean, it was formerly privatized by John Major, so they want to change that course now. They want to, doing that, we effectively bring the cost of transportation, especially trains and so on, to a bearable level.
All right, thank you so much for your perspective on the news. Otumba Olabode Oseni, international analyst. Many thanks indeed for your insights.
Thank you very much for having me.
Away from that, officials in Moscow and Kyiv announced on Wednesday that Russia and Ukraine have released a total of 190 captured soldiers in the latest prisoner exchange between the two sides. Thousands of prisoners of war have been freed in more than 50 individual exchanges throughout the war, in an area where two sides have been able to strike a rare agreement since Russia invaded in February 2022. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky and Russia's Defense Ministry both said 95 of their soldiers had been freed. The exchange was mediated by the United Arab Emirates. In June, Russia's President Vladimir Putin said 1,348 Russian soldiers were being held in Ukraine and that Russia had detained 6,465 Ukraine prisoners of war. A Colombian native, Jonathan Montoya, a dangerous and well-known hitman in Spain, has been sentenced to 24 years in prison. Rendón had been sentenced to 24 years in prison for participating in the murder of well-known Colombian drug lord Leonidas Vargas in 2009, who was killed while a patient at a Madrid hospital. He was wanted by police since September 2023 after failing to return to prison after being granted a temporary leave permit. Just a week after being included on the list of the 10 most wanted fugitives by the National Police, he turned himself in at the Canales Police Complex. In Oceania, Australia has promised to hold Russia to account for the drowning of Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 10 years ago that killed nearly 300 people. Foreign Minister Penny Wong said Australia would not be deterred in their commitment to hold Russia to account. 10 years ago, Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 was shot down over war-torn eastern Ukraine as it flew from Amsterdam to Kuala Lumpur. The crash came in the early stages of a war in which Moscow seized the Crimean Peninsula from Kyiv and stoked an insurgency by pro-Russian rebels in Ukraine's east. And now to South America, where police say a bus plummeted into a ravine in southern Peru on Tuesday, killing at least 26 people. A highway safety official, Johnny Valderrama, updating an earlier toll of 21 dead and 20 wounded, said 14 other people were injured in the crash. The bus, with more than 40 occupants, was headed from Lima to Andean region when it veered off a cliff about 200 meters high. Injured people, including 2 co-drivers of the bus, and were taken to the hospital as rescue teams worked to recover bodies from the wreckage in the hard-to-reach area. Next of kin waited desperate for news outside the Mariscal Hospital, where some of the injured were taken. Thank you for staying tuned. In North America, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meets Costa Rican Foreign Minister Arnoldo and Tinoco at the State Department in Washington ahead of the America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity Foreign Affairs Ministerial Summit. On July 17th, Secretary of State Antony Blinken will host the America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity Summit. Foreign ministers from the 12 America's partnership countries, the United States, Barbados, Canada, Chile, Costa Rica, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Mexico, Panama, Peru, and Uruguay will discuss ongoing collaboration to fulfill the hemisphere's potential to foster inclusive, sustainable, and shared prosperity for all. And during the ministerial summit, America's partnership members will review progress and commitments made by leaders at the inaugural America Partnership Summit on November 3rd, 2023. Cuba's Prime Minister Manuel Cruz has welcomed his Belarusian counterpart Roman Golovenchenko in his first official visit to Cuba. Golovenchenko says Belarus and Cuba have established a strategic partnership based on equality and respect for each other's interests. And during the meeting, delegations from both countries signed bilateral agreements on health, food, and defense. Let's head to the Middle East, where Shiite Muslims on Wednesday in Lebanon and Iraq commemorated Ashura, making the 7th century death of Prophet Muhammad's grandson Hussein that gave birth to their faith. They also pay tribute to the Palestinians as the Israel-Hamas war entered its 10th month and tensions heightened between Hezbollah and the Israeli military. The rift between Islam's 2 main sects deepened after Sunnis killed Imam Hussein in a battle in the Iraqi city of Karbala, south of Baghdad. It continues to this day to play a key role in shaping the identity of Shiites, who represent over 10% of the world's 1.8 billion Muslims. In the Shiite community, Ashura is viewed as a symbol of struggle against injustice and tyranny.
في هذا اليوم يوم العاشر من محرم يعني الاجواء شوف المساعدات الامنيه القوات الامنيه ورغم هذا الحر ورغم هذا يعني الشمس درجه الحراره عاليه جدا شوف الماء متوفر بكل شيء القوات الامنيه مساعدين بالطرق بالنظام المسير ونعمه من الله ونحمد الله ونشكره اكل وشرب متوفر زوار والناس متعاونه بعض مع بعض الحكومه والعتبه وكل شيء واحنا اجينا من الاهواز من ايران الاهواز وادينا زياره وزرنا والان هم بدينا في ركضه طويريج ومهما كانت الحراره يعني الدرجه عاليه في 60 الحراره لكن بدينا والجمعيه ممليه كانت ازدحام والحمد لله والشكر.
والله درجات الحراره هي مرتفعه، درجات الحراره مرتفعه والخدمات جدا جيده والحقيقه يعني الاهالي ما قصروا بالنسبه للمواكب والخدام والهيئات والقائمين على هذه الخدمه الحقيقه ما قصروا. ليث كاظم من البصره.
You're watching Beyond the Continent. Let's take a short break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. And now in Asia, Thai police on Wednesday said one of the 6 foreigners found dead from suspected cyanide poisoning in a luxury Bangkok hotel likely also carried out the crime. The bodies of 6 people of Vietnamese origin, 2 who held American citizenship, were discovered in a suite at the Grand Heights Hotel in the tourist center of Bangkok on Tuesday afternoon. A deputy commander of Bangkok police said officers are convinced that one of the 6 people found dead committed the crime. He told a news conference police believed cyanide was used as poison and the motive for the crime was thought to be related to debts worth millions of baht.
ในศพทุกรายเนี่ยประเมินระยะเวลาการเสียชีวิตเนี่ยประมาณ12ชั่วโมงจนถึงประมาณ24ชั่วโมงริมฝีปากเนี่ยเป็นสีม่วงเข้มนะครับใบหน้าต่างๆรวมถึงการตกสู่เบื้องต่ำของเลือดเนี่ยมีสีลักษณะพิเศษนะฮะรวมถึงปลายเล็บมือที่มีสีม่วงเข้มนะครับซึ่งเป็นการบ่งชี้อย่างหนึ่งนะครับเป็นสัญลักษณ์บ่งชี้อย่างหนึ่งที่สำคัญว่าอาจจะมีการเสียชีวิตที่มีเรื่องของการขาดอากาศเกิดขึ้นร่วมด้วยปลายเนี่ยสาเหตุการเสียชีวิตของทุกคนนะฮะเป็นการสันนิษฐานในเรื่องของการตรวจน่าจะเป็นสาเหตุการตายจากการที่เป็นพิษของสารไซยาไนด์นะครับซึ่งส่งผลในการขาดอากาศในระดับเซลล์
Taiwan Premier Cho Jun-tai says Taiwan-US relations have been very solid in recent years, responding to a question about Donald Trump's remark that the self-ruled island should pay the United States for its defense. Cho adds that maintaining peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and Indo-Pacific region is a common responsibility and goal. He also called for the resumption of cross-strait exchanges with China, saying it would be helpful for emergencies as well as maintaining mutual understanding in the long run.
我们也注意到美国前总统川普他的讲话，但是大家应该也清楚，台美关系近几年来的状况是非常的坚定的。台海跟印太地区的和平稳定是我们共同的责任跟目标，基本能够交流的这个架构跟。
Let's also tell you that schools and universities across Bangladesh have been shut until further notice after 6 people were killed in protest over quotas in government jobs. University students have been holding rallies for days against the system of reserving some public sector jobs for the relatives of war heroes who fought for the country's independence from Pakistan in 1971. The students argue that the system is discriminatory and the one's recruitment based on merit. Several cities, including the capital, Dhaka, this week witnessed clashes between supporters of the anti-quota movement and their opponent, particularly the student wing of the governing Awami League known as the Bangladesh Chhatra League. And that's all on Beyond the Continent. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV, channel 422, Star Times, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adeduba. It's bye for now.